To one and all present here. I, Vinod Pawar, on behalf of Research Cell of HR College, would like to welcome you all to this wonderful interview session on the mystical dimensions of perseverance with AIR-1 CA Final 2022 CA Meet Shah. Meet will reveal his secret sauce of success. So let's fasten our seat belts and let's go. Meet, now the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Vinod, for that wonderful introduction. So just to reiterate, I just recently cleared my CA final exams of May 2022 with All India Rank 1. I also secured All India Rank 2 in Inter-CA examinations of May 2019. In various walks of life, whatever we do, there are a lot of ingredients of success. And one of the common ingredients is perseverance. Perseverance is something that requires you to do continuous efforts wherever you go, whether it is any walk of life, whether at school level or at college level, whether it is your board exams. It is very much obvious that you cannot just study for 2 or 3 months and get the desired result. You have to put in your efforts right from day one. You have to have that perseverance, that those continuous efforts throughout your entire study period, not just at college level, but even at professional examinations like CA. You cannot just study for the last 5-6 months and get what you want or secure rank, not just AIR-1, but any rank for that matter, or even just clearing examinations. You need to have that perseverance right from day one when you register for your course, when you start studying till the very last minute of the examinations. And perseverance is not just restricted to just academics, even moving ahead in your professional life. A lot of people believe that creating a resume is just a 1 week thing or just a 1 night thing. But even creating your resume requires perseverance. Creating your resume is all about what you have done during your school days, college days, and even during your professional life. If you have that perseverance to build yourself up, if you have that perseverance if you put in those continuous efforts to achieve whatever you require for that dream job, it is then that you will get that killing resume to get into your dream job. And again, perseverance doesn't just end at creating your resume. Even in your interviews, if you want to land your dream job, you need to have that perseverance. You need to have those continuous efforts right from the day you start dreaming about your dream organization, dream industry, and dream role. You need to keep on building yourself. You need to keep on putting those efforts on yourself. You need to keep on building yourself. You need to keep on acquiring those skills that you require to land your dream job. Again, perseverance would not just end after clearing the interview. Once you finally get that dream job, once you finally land that dream role, you again need to have perseverance to keep on succeeding in your dream role, to keep on working towards what you have worked for your entire life and then achieving success even in that. But this is just about professional. In fact, even for offbeat careers like dancing, singing, in fact, even running a huge college like this, you need to have perseverance. It cannot be just that today you wake up and you just go to college or you just start performing, just start dancing or just start singing. You need to have those efforts, continuous practice, continuous thought process, continuous dedication and perseverance to achieve success, to excel in whatever you want to do. So basically, whatever phase of life you are in, whatever aspect of life you are currently in, whatever aspect of life you achieve to reach, perseverance will always be there. It would be in different forms. It might be called in different words. It might appear differently, but perseverance will definitely be there. So that is one of the common ingredients of success is perseverance. Realizing the true magic of perseverance can be much more evident if you understand what is the need of perseverance. For me, at a personal level, having perseverance ensured that I have that dedicated focus, I have that self-confidence, I have that sense of direction where I want to be. Once I had my goal set, I realized that to achieve this goal, I need to have perseverance. Once I had that perseverance, I'm like, okay, this is the only thing that I want to do. There are no other distractions. There are no other things that can sway me away from my goals. And this is what perseverance gave. It gave me focus, self-confidence, self-belief, and a sense of direction. So this is where perseverance is very much important. To realize the true magic of perseverance, actually comes out in difficult times. So just to share one personal experience, I am personally a student who would always prefer face-to-face classroom lectures, whether it is college, whether it is classes, or whether it is my CA curriculum. But everyone knows what happened during COVID. Everything moved online. And I was very reluctant. I actually lost hope that, okay, if this is going to happen online, it is very difficult for me to even pass the examinations, let alone clearing examinations with a rank, and that to AIR-1. I almost lost every hope. But then again, I did not have any chance. The only thing that I can do was to put in continuous efforts, was to have that perseverance to sit through that lectures, adapt myself to the online lectures, online mode of lectures that is going to happen. And that perseverance is what made sure that even doing something in a way that I don't like, I was able to ensure that I'm getting everything I want. Those continuous efforts, I build up my skills. I ensure that whatever I'm doing, everything adds up the final day of examinations. And finally, I reach where I always aspired to be. So that is why perseverance is, again, reiterating the same thing. Perseverance is always very important. That is one of the very key ingredients to succeed in your life, whatever you aspire to be. But again, having perseverance is not that easy as it sounds. To understand how to have perseverance, it is very important to understand different forms of perseverance, different facets of perseverance, different dimensions of perseverance. And I think on this note, we should take this session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. It was great that you shared your personal experience also. I feel a lot of students may be able to relate to that. Thank you. Now let's begin with the questions that a lot of audience members had, our own club members had. So the first question a lot of people asked were like, there are a lot of instances when despite regular practices, despite taking regular classes and practices, one is not able to show its full potential in the exams. They are right, like I practiced and I did all, but still I couldn't show my full potential. What would you like to say on that, sir?
I think two primary reasons why regular practice is also not resulting into reaching your full potential would be, first thing would be doing practice in the wrong direction. A lot of time you want to achieve something else, but you're practicing the wrong direction. For example, if it is a subject like accountancy, regular practice would be meaning to solving sums and not just solving orally or over the calculator. It would be actually writing the stuff down, if not proper everything with the formats, but just scribbling down everything, scribbling down the numbers, having enough writing practice. A wrong direction would be to reading the sums, reading the theory again and again, again and again. Doing practice using reading is not going to yield any fruits in a subject like accountancy or any practical subject for that matter. So I think first reason why regular practice is not having enough results that we are desiring is doing practice in the wrong direction, in the wrong method. And second thing would be selecting quantity over quality. Again, taking example of accountancy, it is not that if you solve 1,000 sums, 2,000 sums, you will definitely get 100 or 100 marks. It is how you practice those sums. After every sum, what new are you learning? What mistakes are you identifying yourself? So selecting quality over quantity would ensure that your whatever practice you are doing would ensure that you achieve what you desire, you reach your full potential, and not committing the mistake of going for quantity. I had friends who had solved thousands of sums, who had solved 10 times more sums than me, but I might have just solved around 200 to 300 sums. But after every sum, I used to analyze what I had done wrong, what I missed out, and what else I could have thought of. So these two things, why regular practice won't matter. Practicing in the wrong direction and choosing quantity over quality. If these two things can be tackled, I believe even regular practice will give you your full potential, will ensure that you get the desired results.
As in everyone's lives, there are a lot of stressful situations and also a lot of demotivating people come into their lives at times. So how did you manage to handle those stressful situations and also the demotivating peoples in your journey?
So usually stressful situations or demotivating people would be always related to some failure in your life or some flaw in yourself. I think the first step to deal with them is to accept what are the flaws in yourself or what is the failure that you have faced. Once you accept that, you will understand, okay, this is the reason why I had this flaw. For example, again, taking my personal experience, something that was very demotivating for me was to score bad marks in my mock practice exams. There were times when I was just passing. So passing marks would be 40. I would just be scoring 41, 42. And after, especially during CA final, I never expected to get a rank, but I always expected that I would pass very easily. I would pass with very good marks, especially after having secured rank 2 in inter CA exams. Now, after having that, securing 42 marks in my mock test was very demotivating for me. But the only way to go through it was to accept that, okay, this mistake has happened. I have faced this failure. I have scored 42, but I was lucky enough to score 42 in my mock test exams and not in my final exams. So accepting that this is the flaw in me, this is the failure that I have faced, helped me through it. Now, again, always it is not possible to accept that flaw or that failure by yourself. That is the time when you talk to someone. You need someone to talk yourself through it. For someone, it could be friends. For me personally, it will always used to be my family. It could be my mom. It could be my siblings. They always used to make sure that they talk me through it. They make sure that I understand that this is the mistake that has happened. This is the failure that I have faced. Now, this is the time to accept it, understand why this happened, and make sure that I don't repeat it. How do I not repeat it? By understanding how do I overcome it. So I think the best way to deal with demotivating people or stressful situations is to accept that this thing has happened in your life. This is something that you already have, this flaw that you already have in yourself. Accepting it and then overcoming it would definitely ensure that you deal with all sorts of people, all sorts of situations.
Yes, sir, rightly said. The key takeaway here is to accept and then work upon it. Thank you for sharing that. Coming upon your personal journey on how you secured AIR-2 and then AIR-1, throughout your journey of you studying, preparing for CA, was there any turning point that changed anything or that made you think in a different direction or anything like that?
Yes, so I think there would be two turning points, one each during my inter CA journey and then again during my CA final journey. So starting with my CA inter journey. So my examinations were in May 2019. And obviously the most crucial period for studying for those examinations would be from January till April 2019. But unfortunately, just during the start of January 2019, I started having some health related issues. I was diagnosed with kidney stone. Now, again, the problem as such is not that serious that it cannot be cured. But while having those issues, it was very difficult to concentrate. The pain was immense, and to concentrate on your books at that point of time was very difficult. I lost crucial 22 days of my preparation. 12 days of my classes were important, most important chapters were being taught, and 10 full days of study preparation. And it was not just that I was losing days of preparation. It was also that something that I was losing my rhythm. I had been preparing right from August 2018 for my examinations of May 2019. Now, not studying for 22 days properly, I lost my rhythm. Now, gaining back that rhythm, maintaining it throughout the remaining period of preparation, and ensuring that it lasts till the very final day of examinations was again very difficult. That is when I lost. That is when I was very demotivated. I lost all my motivation. That is when I actually downgraded myself. I thought, okay, now there is no point aiming for rank. Even if I'm able to clear with very good marks, I would be very happy whatever situation has happened. But I made sure that, okay, whatever has happened, I will ensure that I'm studying harder. The moment I recover, I'm putting in 200%, 300%, even 1000% of my efforts. And luckily, fortunately, all those efforts finally paid off. And it was not just those efforts that I put in after recovering. It was also those efforts that I had put in before being diagnosed with my health issues. And I was fortunate enough to secure an All India rank 2, securing 675 out of 800. So this taught me that no matter what the situations are, if I have done my best from the very first day, if I have that dedication, determination, and perseverance to achieve what I want, I can definitely do whatever I want, no matter the situations, no matter how situations go against me, whether physically, whether mentally, or whether psychologically. So this taught me that just staying true to my goals, just staying determined to my goals, just doing whatever is possible at my end and ensuring that everything goes well, it will ensure that I achieve whatever I want. Second turning point would be, as I mentioned earlier, COVID. So as I earlier mentioned, I was a student who would always prefer classroom face-to-face lectures. I always consider myself adaptable. Okay, no matter what happens, I can always adapt myself to situations. But when actually COVID struck, when actually everything moved online, I realized that I'm not that adaptable as I think of myself to. That is when it struck me that this is just examination phase. What after I become CA? Be so many situations I will have to adapt myself to different situations, different problems, different people, different organizations. Again, then I started adapting myself. I started putting into efforts. Just had one thing in mind. No matter what, COVID is not going to go anywhere. But my exams are definitely going to happen in 2020. And that's when I understood that whatever it is, whether online lectures, whether recorded lectures, whatever it is, I have to accept it. And that taught me adaptability. Now, if I look back, now if I see myself, it is very easy for me to adapt myself to anything, whether it is a face-to-face session in person, whether it is a session over Zoom like this, whether it is a recorded session, pre-recorded session. I can very well adapt myself to whatever I want. So these were the two turning points that taught me the power of perseverance and dedication, and how I need to be adapted in the various changing environment across the.
Yes, rightly said. I guess everybody will face certain hurdles in their life, and we'll have to learn to adapt and work around them. So Vinod, let's move on with the session.
So me would just like to ask, if you weren't in the profession of chartered accountancy, what career would you like to explore?
I would something to public speaking, because so this is something that is a very essential skill. No matter what kind of career that you are choosing, whether it is a professional course like CA, law, MBA, maybe even medical, engineering, wherever you are offbeat, like performing arts, sculpting, wherever you go, soft skills are very much important. And right from my school days, I've always been in public speaking, whether it is tuition, whether it is debating, any sorts of public speaking skills. I would definitely try myself something that gives me a chance to interact with the audience, something which gives me a chance to speak in front of a large audience, speaking on stage. Maybe it could have been maybe through acting, maybe it could be through stage arts, or maybe something else, but definitely something into public speaking. And I think that is something skills. I mean, that is the skill that even if you are doing a professional course, that is a skill that you should definitely have. Skill of public speaking, skill of communication is very much important. Technical skills will take you to a certain level, but having soft skills of communication, interacting with people, making sure that you communicate your ideas the way you want, will definitely take you much higher heights than just your technical skills, just your hard skills would be. So I think that is what I would go for if not for professional courses.
Rightly said that every course needs perseverance and how to work around that. Okay, so let's move ahead with a lot of questions that our audience sent. Okay, sir. So this is a lot of people wanted to know that there is this trend that if you are doing CA, you have to get selected in the big fours. That if you are CA for your articleship or your work after what do you say, after qualifying CA finally, you have to be there in big fours. It is there around everyone. What are your thoughts on the same?
There is nothing like you have to there. You want to be there. That I would have at that point itself, that since I have secured all India rank, I would definitely go to a big four. There's nothing wrong in going big four. There is nothing right in going. I went to KNAV, a mid-sized firm, because I want to try something unconventional. A lot of big four usually been offering the traditional roles of statutory audit, internal audit, and taxation. I wanted to try something unconventional into the traditional fields. So I was personally into international assurance, where I was dealing with not just Indian companies, I was also dealing with companies abroad. So to decide whether you want to, there is no, as I said, there is nothing wrong into going big four. As long as it is an informed decision. If you have something set in mind that, okay, post qualification, I want to do this, post qualification, I want to be over there. And this is a big four would be helping. Big four might help you in terms of branding, in terms of experience that you desire to have for yourself. For example, if someone desires to start their own practice post qualification, it is not very much desirable to get into Big Four, because Big Four, like any other big corporate, would give you specialization into one particular field. And to start a practice, it is very much important to have knowledge of various fields of a CA in the very formative years. Over a period of time, you can have specialized departments, but initially you need to have experience of various departments, right from taxation, audit, internal audit, GST, all sorts of practice. And this is not something that Big Four would offer you. So at that point of time, a wise decision would be maybe to do 1 year into Big Four and then move to a small or mid-sized firm, or maybe do the entire 3 years of being into a smaller mid-sized firm. But if someone is trying to get into a huge, big corporate listed entities, usually these entities have a criteria that you should have articleship from either from Big Four, or you should have a rank at either of these levels, or you should have some industrial training experience. So if this is what your end goal is, then to get into Big Four. But it would be very wrong if just because the entire herd is going, or you're just going for the brand name without having any end objective in mind. If that is why you're going into Big Four, then I believe it is a very wrong decision. You would definitely get a lot of experience. You would definitely learn a lot, but it would not correlate with what you want to actually do in life. So I think before going to Big Four, it should be a very informed decision. You can speak to your seniors, you can speak to your batchmates, you can speak to who is already working in Big Four. You can do your own research by going through their websites, going through actually what they are doing, going through what is going on in the public domain. So again, choosing Big Four or choosing any articleship firm for that matter should be a very informed decision, taking into consideration various factors and not just going with the herd.
Exactly, sir. Well said.
So like, as we know, everyone has a role model, inspiration in their life. So who was your role model or inspiration in your life? And how far is it necessary to have a role model in one's life?
So this might sound very cheesy and very sentimental, but I never had a proper role model. I had a clear objective in mind. Whatever I do will have impact on my parents, on my mom's face, on my parents' face. If I do a particular thing, either it will bring a smile on my mom's face, either she would be indifferent, or either she would be sad by if after I've done whatever I've done. So my objective was very clear. Whatever I'm doing, the first thing, getting a smile should be the primary objective. It should be the maximum. Ensuring that she is indifferent, that should be at a very minimum level, and avoiding completely doing anything that would bring a sad reaction on her face. So that was my inspiration. So I knew that if I'm studying well, I get the degree that I want. If I get the degree, then she would be very happy. If I clear with good marks, then she would be happier. If I clear with rank, I would be much happier. And if I clear with the top 3 ranks, then she would be the happiest. So that is what I always had in mind. Whether it was studying during my school level, whether it was studying during my college level, whether it was preparing for my CA final examinations, or whether it would be doing whatever job role I choose to go ahead, I'm choosing to go ahead. Whatever I do should bring a smile on her face, and it should not so happen that she is having a sad reaction on her face. So I think that was my inspiration to do whatever I have done, I am doing, and I would be doing. And I think having an inspiration or having a role model in life, again, just like perseverance, it ensures that you have a very focused approach. You're not swayed away by various distractions. Even if you are doing something other than working towards your goal, even if you're taking a break, even if you're doing some sort of time pass, you are still not completely distracted by it. You still have somewhere your end goes somewhere behind back of your mind. So I think that is why role model or inspiration ensure that you are focused, self-disciplined. You are very sure that this is what you want to achieve. No matter what, nothing can distract you from your goals. So I think that is why having a role model or inspiration is very much important.
Thank you, Meet. So choosing CA as a career, one's need to be updated about every happening now and then, and all the new changes that take place. So how far research helps you during your final exams, on your profession journey, during articleship, and what key takeaways from your experience you would like to share with the audience?
So rightly said, rightly said that CA is constantly updating with the whatever keeps on changing in the world, in the country. The CA curriculum, what CAs do also has to undergo a change. And with increasing complexities, there is no prescribed rule that a particular thing has to be done in this particular manner. What are available in the guidelines? Those guidelines to actually implement it properly, there needs to be a lot of research. Personally, during marketing, I used to specifically ask for assignments that would require me to research into various aspects, research onto maybe into accounting standards, maybe into auditing standards, maybe it might also go into taxation and how you're supposed to implement it to real life accounting problems. So I was always keep some of those research assignments on my hand. Now, how that research, doing those research helped me. First of all, doing research, first step in doing research is understanding what material you have to use for research. After having done research throughout my articleship, I understand that there will be a lot of material, how to identify the correct material, how to ensure that it is an authentic material. This is what taught me, and this is what and made me realize that selecting the best material would ensure that I'm getting the best result, best output after my research. And then after selecting the best material, how do you actually implement it? How do you actually get the output out of it? Because even in a particular material, there would be a lot of things that would have been mentioned. It is very much possible that what has been mentioned over there might have worked in those olden times when it was actually prepared, when it was actually written down. How do I modify it with my current understanding, with the current changes that are going around me? So this is the second thing that was taught to me by doing research throughout my articleship journey. Now, how that my learnings during articleship journey, same like actual research in the practical life, there are a lot of materials available for during CA final examinations. A lot of people are swayed by various authors, maybe seniors, maybe because of the batchmates, maybe after watching YouTube videos, they will keep on changing from one material to another material. But what they don't realize is that CA exams are not just about reading multiple books one time. It's about reading one book multiple times. And selecting the book again requires research. My research during my CA made sure that I select the very right material, the various factors that I think of choosing onto a particular material, whether it would be exhaustiveness, whether it would be conciseness, it would be language that is being used in the material. This is how research helped me during my articleship journey. This is how research helped me for preparing during my CFL exams, and also helped me ahead.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Meet. With this, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're there. Okay. Sorry for the network glitch. Now you have become a CA. You are qualified. You became CA with like flying colors, AIR-1 rank. What does Is there any future plans that you could share with us? What does your future look like for you?
Definitely. I've always been into trying, working on something that keeps on. Cannot do any job that is very monotonous or that would require me to do same thing again and again. And one thing that I found would expose me to different problems every now and then was management consulting. So I decided very early during my articleship itself that post qualification I would want to be a consultant, specifically in consulting. That also not just joining any management consulting firm. I have always aspired to go into the big three, MBB. So the big three organizations are McKinsey, BCG, and Bain. These are the globally best players into management consulting. Now, in simple words, what is management consulting? If there is a business problem, the business would come to the consultants and they would first understand why that problem exists. They would recommend the solutions to resolve that business problem. Working with Big Three gives me an opportunity to work with the Fortune 5, the top listed corporates across the globe. So this is my current future plan is first of all to gain experience into management consulting, understand how real life business problems are being solved, how they are analyzed, how these business problems are overcome, and what happens after these business problems are solved. So this would be on a professional front. This would be on a work experience front. A very typical or a very selected approach among rank holders or any qualified CA for that matter is to gain experience of 1 or 2 years into any corporate and then move on to MBA. So right now, even I have that on site, but it's not that I have fixated myself on just doing MBA. I would still like to analyze how MBA would actually help me move further ahead in my life. So since I would be in management consulting, I would be working shoulder to shoulder with people from various top institutes. It would be IIM, ABC, IIT, Powai, everyone from various walks of life, from various professions, from various institutes. Actually interacting with them would help me understand how MBA would add further value to my existing qualification that I have of chartered accountancy, how that would ensure that I move ahead in career. So right now, one of my education front is one of my preparations, but again, not fixated on it. I would again do a lot of research. I would give some thought and then decide whether I want to go for MBA or whether I want to do something the different course.
Thank you for sharing us with that and giving us something that not everybody know, that a CA can pursue, like management consulting. We're always stick to the monotonous thing we know. Thank you for sharing us with that with us. Now we have certain frequently asked questions that our audience sent when we were registering for the session. So that everybody had, the main one was your study strategy. What was your study? Yeah.
So studies, yeah. So I think first very important thing that I also reiterated some time back would be first ensure what you want to study. You need to select what type of material you would be referring. You will be just referring the official material that is being provided by the institute, or you want to go for some other authors, or you want to prepare your own self-handwritten notes. So I think first strategy that I used was to make sure that I fixed my study material on day one itself. So my study material was on a general basis, first to cover the entire ICI material that is being provided. All illustrations, all sorts of sums, all sorts of examples, whatever different concepts are being covered in the ICI study material itself, I have to cover all of that. Moving on from ICI material, my second most important material was using the classes notes that were provided to me. A lot of mistakes that people do is that they complete their classes with a set of books. When they start revising during their CA final study or CA inter study, choose a different author, maybe under the influence of their seniors, maybe under the influence of batchmates. And then again, during those 1.5 days of examinations, they again choose some, maybe because it is very summarized, maybe because it covers the entire content in less pages. But what they fail to realize is that when you keep on switching the materials, there is no connection between what you've actually understood while completing your lectures and how you are actually retaining the same. So there is no connection between the two. There is a loss of spark between that. So I ensure that whatever study material I had selected on day one, I'm sticking to it till the very last minute of getting out of the examination hall. So first step in my study strategy was to finalize the material that I want to cover. Second was to have a very detailed timetable, detailed plan, how I want to complete each subject, how many times I want to revise each subject, how I would be practicing that again and again, going for writing practice, going for reading practice, whether any particular chapter needs more revision as compared to other subjects, other chapters. And one thing that I did while preparing timetable was I went reverse. So if my examinations were to start from 14th May, I need to, okay, this is the subject I would be appearing for. And for this subject, I need 3 days of preparation. I went on a reverse order. I went from the first day of my examination till the very day of when I started preparing my timetable.
I guess Mr. Shah has been disconnected due to network issues. We'll just wait for a few seconds and he'll join back us again. Until then, if anybody has any other question also, you can drop to me on chat here. Sir is back.
I think I lost connection. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to the second thing. So second most important thing that I did was making sure that I have a very detailed timetable, and not just having a timetable. It is just like anything that we do. It is but obvious that we won't be able to follow the timetable to the very last T. So I made sure that I'm constantly updating my timetable. It could be on a weekly basis, it could be on a fortnightly basis, or it could be on a monthly basis. But I made sure that if I have some backlog, if I have not been able to achieve whatever target I had set for a particular time period, I immediately update my timetable again till the very last day of my examinations. So finalizing my study material was a step one of my study strategy. Having a timetable, and third thing would be to constantly update it depending on how much I have achieved till date. So these three things that went into my study strategy.
Thank you so much. I can see a lot of the audience members having their notebooks around and trying to keep all these strategies together. Another everybody wanted to know was, this was the most popular one, I can guarantee, was how to go for theory subjects.
So just like everyone, just like majority of us, theory was a nightmare even for me, especially a subject like audit. So even after being in audit, I was facing a lot of difficulties in retaining whatever I was doing. So two things that I realized helped me in retaining theory subjects was to, first of all, starting early and reading as many times as possible. So the more you read, the more your mind gets used to seeing the same content again and again. After reading a lot of times, you remember it in a such a manner that you will know कि हाँ left side पे इधर ये paragraph में ये लिखा है, right side पे ये paragraph पे ये लिखा है. You might not remember the page number, but you know कि हाँ ये side पे ऐसा लिखा है, and I can replicate the same thing in my exams as well. So I made sure that I study with theory subjects very early, and I read it as many times as possible. The more I read, the more I retain. Of course, even on the very last of exams, I was not able to retain 100%, but I was able to retain maximum portion of it. And second thing that everyone used to do during the school times, but maybe because somehow people start losing that during college life and especially during CA exams, is having enough writing practice. So it is very much necessary to have writing practice for all of these subjects, but it becomes much more important to have writing practice for theory subjects for two reasons. First of all, the more you write, just like the more you read, the more you retain. It is the same thing with writing. The more you write, the more you retain. And second thing it helps is a lot of in examinations, a lot of people face a situation that the question is very easy. You know a lot of content, but you don't know what you are supposed to write or how much you're supposed to write. It is very much possible that just for a 2 or 3 mark question, you keep on writing 4 or 5 pages and then you're not able to complete your paper. So if you have enough writing practice of various test papers, various mock tests, you know that if a particular question is asked for these many marks, you know how much you're supposed to write. So I think these are the two keys for tackling theory subjects: starting early and reading as many times as possible and having sufficient writing practice. And again, just like I reiterated earlier, sticking to one material. Especially for theory subjects, people will keep on changing their material. First, they will think that this material is very good because this covers the entire ICM material. इसमें सब कुछ लिखा है, सब concepts cover हो गए, इसमें past questions भी cover हो गए. Then when they realize कि नहीं इतना तो याद होने वाला ही नहीं है, they will move on to some summary book which will give everything in concise manner. Now they will try to learn that in very detailed manner. इतना मेहनत किया to study a very fat book, and now you're putting more efforts into retaining the summary book. So I think the third point could be, add-on point could be sticking to one material. So this is what I always keep on saying to people again and again: stick to one material. No matter if that student is at CA inter level or CA final level, sticking to one material is very, very important. So I think these would be three things: starting early and reading again and again, writing practice to retain more and more, and sticking to one material itself.
Thank you for sharing that, sir. So moving ahead, we also have this question a lot. How did you manage your regular college and CA together?
So I think just like COVID brought some problems for me, that everything moved online. It also brought a boon for me that since everything moved online, it is not that I had to travel to college every day. I could just attend lectures, and I could, so whatever time I was saving on traveling to college or traveling for my articleship, I was able to invest a lot of that time in doing my revisions, attending my lectures, the recorded lectures I had. So I think it actually, COVID somehow made my life easier to attend regular college with my articleship. And again, since I was BCom, somewhere at some point of time, I was also very lenient with attending lectures, but I never made it a point that I'm not attending any lecture. I used to make sure that at least 50 to 60% of the lectures I am attending. Even though the requirement was at least 75% attendance, I try to make sure that I'm at least attending 60% of the lectures. And maybe somewhere, maybe I might not have been attentive, but I made it a point to attend those lectures. And I utilized those Zoom lectures to the fullest. I utilized whatever time I was saving to put it into my CA file preparation. So that is how I manage my regular college and articleship with my CA file preparation.
Okay, thank you. Tisha here has a
Guys,
question.
adding on to this, guys, please attend lectures as well. See, as even CA Milcha is attending his lectures, like 60% he has his attendance. So I request everyone to please attend all the lectures. And yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Tisha has raised her hand and she has a question. Tisha, go for it.
Hi, good morning. So I had seen your video on YouTube, and you had said that you had started JK Shah in August itself, August 19, as soon as you were done with your inter exams. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So how did you retain so much? Because you had your finals in May 22. So what was your revision plan like?
Correct. So just a correction. So my articleship started in September 2019, and my CA final batch started from October 2019 and not August 2019. August 2019, our results were declared. Now, so on the very first, in the very beginning lectures of my lecture, beginning phase of my lectures itself, I realized that I'm definitely going to forget whatever I'm studying, because if I lose touch with my books, it will be very difficult to gain back that rhythm. I had been studying right after 12th standard, just after 12th standard, I had started studying for my CPT. Right after CPT, I had started studying for inter CA. So I had that momentum of being in those books, having that mindset that I have to study. But right now, if I get fully into articleship, fully into going here and there, spending time doing time pass, I would lose that rhythm. So I realized that my first step into making sure that I don't lose touch with my books was starting classes very early. So we had an early bird batch, and I started my classes in October 2019 itself. Now, definitely, if I'm studying in October 2019 itself, I don't have a memory like Mike Ross that once I see something, I understand it, I will retain it. It's not like that with me. I will definitely forget it. So what I used to do was, I used to make sure that before next lecture, so we used to have weekend lectures in the initial phases. So before I attend the next lecture, I used to make sure that whatever has been taught in the previous classes, at least I'm going through it once. Even if I'm not practicing it properly with a book and pen, at least I'm going through the concepts. At least I'm going through what was the process of solving the sums. So for example, my first subject was SFM. So I used to go through all those formulas. SFM is full of formulas. There are a lot of formulas. So even if I'm not able to retain it, at least I retain the logic of how that formula was derived, how that formula was used in a particular sum, how that particular formula was being modified in various types of situations. So I think the key to retaining it would be to revising on a daily basis. Revising, if again, articleship sometimes becomes very hectic. There will be times that you are not even able to complete your lectures on time, let alone revising it. But after this would be a situation for a month or two. After a month or two, get back to revising. Whatever backlog you have, whatever you studied, just go through it. Even if you're not able to retain it, just keep on flipping through the pages, just keep on reading it. Somewhere down the line, when you go into that 6 months of your CA final study leave, you will realize that हाँ ये किधर तो पढ़ा हुआ, ऐसा कुछ तो पढ़ा था, ऐसा कुछ तो logic समझाया था. And that is when you will realize कि हाँ, now it is very easier to retain, get back all those logics. You might not remember all the formulas, but you would remember 50%, 60%, 70%. So the key to retaining it for the entire 3 years would be to keep on revising on a daily basis. Even if you're not able to revise everything, just revise something at least. And the best way to revise is to revise whatever has been taught in the previous lecture before you watch or attend your next lecture. So I think revising is the key to that.
I had one more question. That's the last one.
Sure,
So
sure.
you were in international assurance at KNAV, so that definitely helped you with your paper 6, right? So did you go
Correct.
for international assurance because it would help you with paper 6, or did you have interest in it?
No. So I selected paper 6 because I was in international assurance. So when I was evaluating for my articleship, so Big Four also one of my choices, because Big Four would give me a lot of different type of exposure, because it would give me the core of statutory audit that is available in the domain right now. But I went for international assurance because what I was being exposed to over there was not being offered at that point of time in any of the organization. So in international assurance, I was not just dealing with Ind AS, I was dealing with US GAAP and IFRS. And at articleship level, I don't think any organization is offering that right now. They might be offering it to a very little extent, but the core US GAAP, core IFRS is being offered only in KNAV right now. If it is being offered in Big Four, it would be to a very low extent. So that was my primary reason to go for international assurance, because audit I can learn at any given point of time, but having knowledge of US GAAP, IFRS, and Ind AS, various type of accounting standards, various auditing standards, and not just Indian regulation. So in Big Four or in any Indian firm, you would get an understanding of SEBI regulation while auditing listed entities. But when I was working with international assurance, I had some idea of even SEC regulations, the US regulatory authority for listed companies. So these are my two primary reasons: doing something that is not being offered by anyone. I was definitely losing on a big brand name like Big Four, but I thought, let's try something unconventional. कुछ तो experiment करके देखते हैं. ज़्यादा क्या होगा? I might not get that big brand name, but I would definitely learn something different that no one knows. So that is why I chose international assurance. After having international assurance, as I reiterated, I was into a lot of research. I used to always read a lot of accounting standards, a lot of auditing standards. And I realized that GFRS also tests you on the core of accounting standards. They would give you questions that is very, if you don't have a core understanding of the major standards like revenue, leases, you won't be able to crack the case studies. And these case studies are asked from various sources. Sometimes there are Big Four guidances on core accounting standards, and from that guidance itself, the case studies are being asked in the exam. So that was one of my considerations. Since I was in international assurance, I had a fairly good understanding of IFRS, US GAAP, and Ind AS. I had a fairly good experience of reading various guidances, and these were the two primary reasons. Second thing would be, if agar mera GFRS अच्छा हो गया, then definitely my FR would be even better. So while everyone is preparing for their elective, they were preparing for just 100 marks. When I was preparing for my GFRS subject, I was preparing for 200 marks at the same point of time. So these were some of the considerations.
So basically, you got an upper hand because of international assurance.
Correct. Yes,
so
correct.
I just wanted to ask you a personal question regarding me. So right now I'm working in KPMG Stat Audit, and I was thinking to go for capital markets or something in paper 6. So should I switch to valuations at KNAV or CNK?
So I'm not sure if valuation alone would help you in FSCM, because so few of my friends had selected FSCM, and this is what I've heard from them. The worst paper during our attempt was FSCM. This situation was so bad that people were not even able to understand what question they are asking, let alone answering that. So again, this could happen even in GFRS. So one problem with GFRS is that it is an accounting paper, and ICI is an accounting institute. So they can go to any extent. They can ask very difficult questions in that as well. But the advantage to that is that, again, it is accounting. We have been doing accounting since FY3. So kuch na kuch karke somewhere something we can definitely write. If you're not able to get 25 out of 25, you can definitely get 10 to 12 marks. So choosing valuation just because you want to go into FSCM would not be a very wise decision. I think first you should check FSCM, what is actually being taught in FSCM. Then if you want, I can connect you with some of my friends. You can text me personally. I can connect with you some of my friends who had taken FSCM. They can actually tell you that FSCM mein kya, what is actually the syllabus, and what would have helped them get a better understanding over FSCM.
Yeah. Well,
so So just don't select evaluation just because you want to go into FSCM. If you want to select evaluation, just think what you would do after qualifying as well. So don't go for
Yeah,
valuation just
actually,
because
I
of that.
wanted finance domain like IB or something. That's why I was aiming towards it.
So if you're planning for an IB domain, then definitely valuation would give you an upper hand on your CV. It would look very good on your CV, because usually people go from auditing and accounting domain into IB. They definitely, even they are considered, but valuation will give you an upper hand. Not just in terms of considering you for interview, but even when they're asking questions, you would be able to give better answers. So if you're planning for IB, then definitely valuation is a very good option.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No problem.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yes, Pia, you can also ask a question. You raise your hand.
Yes, good morning.
Good
Any
morning.
tips on students how to study for their foundation exam?
Uh, just a disclaimer, I was a CPT student, and there has been a drastic change from how we used to prepare for CPT to how you guys would be preparing for foundation. But I think two of the papers are written papers. I think accountancy and law, and I think my experience at inter and final year level would help that. So I think for accounting, don't just keep on reading the sums. There would be a lot of sums, and you would be thinking, "के इतना सारे sums मैं solve करूँ, उसी से read करके I would be able to cover more sums." Don't do that. Practice, even if you are able to practice 10 sums, 20 sums, that is fine. But do everything in writing practice. Because even in exams, you would know the entire solution, but you would not know from where to start the sum or how many working notes you are supposed to prepare. So in terms of accountancy, I think you again writing practice, solving the entire sums. What working notes you want to prepare? What is the format that you want to follow? What are the steps that you want to go for? So I think that is what you will help you in accountancy. In terms of writing law paper, sections are important. They just give an added flavor to your answers. But even if you're not able to remember all these sections, I think that would be fine. But you should definitely be knowing the entire provision thoroughly. So if it is if it is some section 9 or section 10 of Companies Act, we should know कि वो section में लिखा क्या है. Even if you forget the section number, subsection number, whatever it is fine. But knowing the entire provision should be your core objective. And again, even in writing law answers, you should be a very, very structured approach. First, you explain the provision, then you explain what is actually happening in the case or the question that they have given, and then try to link that situation with the provision in the section. Now, again, you will be able to do this by having some writing practice definitely, and not just writing practice, appearing for just help you much more in appearing for law paper. And in terms of MCQ, I think again, the more you practice, the different types of questions that you go for would help you. But I would just give you another suggestion. It would be much helpful for you if you try to contact someone who has given CA foundation and have been a rank holder over there. I think they would be able to give you much better advice than I can do.
Okay, thank you, sir, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, Preet. I have a question. Like, I
Yeah.
got this question from many of the articles. There are many articles that are written about work-life balance that encourage, strict working hours or carving out the time for friends and families. So, what happens when your work schedule doesn't allow you to do these things?
So I was very sure of that. If I want to become a CA and that too with very good marks, I will have to sacrifice a lot of things. Not just social media, not just going out with friends, but also family functions, being there for family, attending all sorts of family functions, all sorts of family events. So I was very sure that you have to make sacrifice. There is nothing without sacrifices. And I was okay with it because I knew that in the end, everything will be worth it. So my first experience with sacrificing everything was at inter-CA level. That is when I realized that इतना sacrifice करने के बाद इतना कुछ मिला है. I secured all India rank. I got a lot of various sorts of experiences. So that is when I realized that if I was able to sacrifice at inter-CA level to achieve second rank, then I should definitely sacrifice a lot more and focus just on my goal. And the result is in front of everyone.
Yes.
So I think the mind should not be focused on that I am sacrificing this much, this much, this much. The mind should be on focusing that after sacrificing, this is what I am doing. And this is what I would be achieving after sacrificing everything. And it is not just about CA. To excel in any field, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like someone who is into athletics, someone who wants to be, someone who is into Olympic, rather, they have to sacrifice a lot of they have to maintain a very strict diet. So even they have to sacrifice. If someone who is a dancer, they might have to sacrifice a lot of things. So sacrifice would be there in all walks of life, and you have to accept that fact of life that if you don't sacrifice, you're not going to achieve what you want. So I think this has to be an accepted fact. Coming to work-life balance, I think this is a very good stage that you are understanding that work-life balance would be distorted at any point of time. Right now, you have to balance your work with your studies. Post qualification, you would have to balance your work with your personal life, whether it could be, again, going out with family, doing something of your own. So work-life balance problems will always be there. No matter which firm you go for, there will always be problem that there are extended working hours. You're not getting sufficient time for that. And the fact is, even if you would be getting sufficient time, you would not be giving 100% to your studies. So I think it is better that we are spending time on something useful. But again, it is not something that you're working 24 hours. There will always be time before you start work, after you end your work. There will be weekends, there will be public holidays when you get time, sufficient time to give time to your studies. So I think this would be an excuse that articleship की वजह से पढ़ाई नहीं हो पा रही है. If you want to do it, you can definitely manage everything. You just need to have a structured approach. This is the time that I want to do something. And there are also times that when you don't have enough work. 11 to 7, you are working from, you're just sitting in front of laptop, doing time pass, chatting with your teammates over Teams, going through Instagram reels. That is the time when you can actually invest into your studies. Side by side laptop chale over. As and when the work will come, you can again start working on it. But if there is nothing to work on, you can watch your lectures, you can start flipping through your books and start revising something. And this is what actually I used to do. So there was time when it was off season and we had just completed a lot of audits. So what I used to do was, after having my lunch, I used to give half an hour to 45 minutes into my revising whatever I had done in the previous lectures. And then I used to go back to my work. And this was possible because I was having work from home. This might again not be possible from someone who is working from office. But it is just about making the best of whatever time you are having, whatever opportunities you are being given. So I think it is very much possible even during articleship. You will definitely have time. You just need to identify what is your free time and how you don't waste it over social media, going out with friends, family, everywhere, and investing it into your studies.
So adding on to this, so what is your mantra to keep your mind concentrate into studies, like during hectic time in the articleship? Because in international assurance we have to study, like I'm also in international, so
I know.
yes. So we have to go through that Netherlands gap, US gaps, and we have to study that thing too for our articleship journey. So what was your mantra?
I was very clear that I know that I work for today 10 to 11 hours. I can take a break, I can rest, I can sleep, I can do time pass. Whatever time I'm spending on doing all of that, I'm losing that amount of time. Just because I'm wasting my time over here doesn't mean that ICI is going to postpone the exam by that number of days. Exams are going to happen at that point of time. The more I waste time, the more I lose time on my preparation, and the more I reduce my chances of clearing the examinations. So I think some sort of fear is required, some sort of stress is required that exams are going to happen. That constant fear was something that motivated me to give more hours. Even after working for long working hours, I was able to give that much amount of hours into my studies. But then I also had some sort of plan in my mind. So for example, if I'm very tired after studying for 10 to 11 hours, and I don't think I have the ability to retain something, to understand something new, then I would not watch any lectures at that point of time. At that point of time, I would just read what I've already done. So that is, I would be managing my time. If I'm not fresh, then I would revise. If I think I'm very fresh, आज कुछ ज़्यादा काम नहीं किया, something that was very light, time pass ही किया, काम के नाम पे time pass ही किया है, then after working hours, I would be going for lectures and not revising it. So you need to first identify what time you have available. You need to remember that exams are going to happen unless you plan to defer your attempt, unless you plan to think that you want to left out among your friends. Exams are going to happen, and the more time you waste, the lesser time you get for your preparation. And then using the time in best particular manner. It is not just that you have to do a particular thing at that particular point of time. You have to do the thing that in a way that you can best utilize your time. So I think that is some sort of fear about examinations is what made sure that I keep on studying even if I'm tired after work.
That was so nice to hear from you.
Thank
Then Harshil, you can ask your question.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, and
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
sir, basically, I have only two questions. First of all, whenever I or any CA Foundation student go and study, so back of our mind, something going running off means we are lost in our thought process. So, at that time, so what your suggestion? What to do? Even we can't study, and it's compulsory to be studied.
So basically, you mean to say that while studying, in
Yes.
between you zone out and you start thinking about something else.
Uh,
I think one thing that you can do. So, do you study from your home or do you study from your library?
no, study from home. Even I have tried from library also.
So I think one thing that you can try would be to try and sit among like-minded peoples. Now it could work in two ways. Either you would be motivated ke everyone is studying, सब लोग पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दे रहे, so even I would be focusing on my studies. Or you can be afraid that सब लोग इतना पढ़ रहे, मैं ही कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं ही ये सब टाइम पास फालतू चीजें सोच रहा हूँ. So either you would be motivated or you would be afraid, and that is, I think, what would make you study. Another thing, if that doesn't work, that you can set very strict goals for yourself, that in 1 hour itself I have to complete 10 sums itself. Now to complete 10 sums in 1 hour, you have to keep on thinking about those sums itself. You cannot spend time के 15 मिनट में टाइम पास इधर उधर की बातें सोच रहा था, 45 minutes में मैं 10 सम कर लूंगा. It is not going to happen that time. If you have very strict goals कि in these number of hours I need to complete these many concepts or these many sums, I think that is how you would be able to, make sure that your mind is focused. And I think it is actually very common because this is the first time that you are actually appearing for some professional exam for something that is very tough. So I think initially you would be zoned out, but you should keep on, checking up how much you have prepared, how well you are doing on your practice exams, how many questions you are able to solve. I think the little element of fear, little element of being afraid, little element of being left behind among your peers would definitely ensure that you stay focused on that. And if again, even if that not works, I think you can try speaking to someone from your home. So you can try telling them that after every 1 hour or 1.5 hours, you just keep on checking up on me and just give me a reminder that you have to focus on your studies. So the moment that you lose touch of you lose your thought process of studying and you start thinking about something else, there will be someone from your house who gives you a constant reminder that you have to study and not think about something else. So I think these are the three various things that you can try right now. And even if that doesn't work, then you just try to reach out to me personally. I would think about it more, that how you can ensure that you don't lose your thought process. You can reach out to me personally as well. Then I can understand your situation better. Right now, I might not be able to give you dedicated time to understand your situation completely, but definitely reach out to me personally as well. I wouldn't mind helping you out.
So thank you. And the second question is that being a SP student in 11th and 12th, so sir, tackling with max is something most difficult for us. So what to do at that time? Even we can't understand the concept, और we lost our hope कि यार चल CA इंटर से जाएंगे, CA फाउंडेशन बस का ही नहीं क्योंकि मैक्स से. So at that
I have a friend who was with me who was an SP student. He cleared CPT in first attempt. He cleared CA inter in first attempt, and now he secured a rank in CA final level. He was an SP student. First thing that you need to remember that maths is just a one level thing, and maths is not that difficult. If you just need to give more efforts to it. So right now you would be having around, we had just 4 subjects. You might be having, I think, 5 to 6 subjects. So you know that you are lacking behind in maths. So that is how you prepare your strategy. Okay, if I'm giving 1 hour to accountancy, then I should give 2 more hours to maths. The more you will practice, the more you will try to understand how the sums are being solved. You will be able to understand how you tackle maths. And just forget that fear that since I was an SP student, maths will be difficult for me. It is not like that. It is not at all like that. At one point of time, even when we started with FIJC and SYJC ka maths, even we didn't know anything. Some point of time, even it was new for us as well. The only difference was we had more time and you don't have much time. But there was another difference. We didn't have a set objective कि हमको CA बनना है. our objective was very small that हमको FIJC clear करना है. You have a much bigger objective that you want to become a CA. To become a CA, the route is through CA foundation. If you think that CA inter के route से चला जाएंगे, you would be wasting a lot of years of your life. And trust me, even 1 month is very important in your life at this point of career. People are becoming chartered accountants at the age of 90. And in that, if you think of wasting your years by giving up on maths, you would be making a very big. I think just keep on practicing. I think if you practice a lot, if you give more hours, dedicated hours to it, you would definitely be able to go for it. If you think you're facing some issue in a particular concept, you're not able to understand it, I think you should immediately reach out to your professors. I think they would definitely be able to specifically help you. You can do this particular thing to have better grip over this particular concept.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, Kumkum, you could go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Kumkum.
Since we have the offline college thing, so which one is a better option? Like aiming for both the groups at the same time and missing the college fun, like joining clubs and events, and or the other one is like aiming for one group at a time and simultaneously attend college events, enjoy.
Okay, so it is always better to go for both the groups together. For first of all, for two reasons. Unfortunately, if you're not able to score very good marks in a particular subject, if you're giving both the groups together, you get the advantage of setting off one group ke higher marks with the lesser marks in another group. So that is the advantage. Second thing is you've already studied for 9 months. Uske baad वापस से again you have to study for 6 months. Trust me, even after getting AIR-1, even after studying for 3 years continuously, at a personal level, I cannot study for another 6 months at all. You won't realize it that now after you study for 9 months continuously, you will be like, bas abhi bahut pad liya. You will actually lose motivation to study for another group after 6 months. So I think going for both the groups is always the best option. Coming to attending college events and all of that. So there are either you can be a part of the committee, either you can be a part of the club and attend the events. So or you cannot be a part of club and still attend events. There are two options. I was personally not a part of any club, but I used to attend events. Now, not being a part of club helped me that I had the liberty to choose which events I want to attend. If today I want to study more, then I might skip on an event. If today I don't think I have a very good study plan, I don't have much to study, then I would attend an event. But not being a part of committee made me lose a lot of things. First would be when you're part of a committee, you made a lot of new friends and you get to network with a lot of people. You get a lot of new experiences about organizing the events. How do you manage a lot of group of people? So I think there is always a trade-off. And as I said earlier, you always have to sacrifice something. It could be anything. It could be anything in your life. It could be friends. It could be these events. It could be anything, but you have to choose one thing. So at a personal level, in my personal opinion, if this was a choice in front of me, I would go for both the groups together. You would face some issue going for both the groups and also attending events, but you have to put in more efforts. That's it. You would definitely be able to clear both the groups, even if you're attending all the events. It's just that you will have to put more efforts, and you cannot have that attitude कि अभी तो events है थोड़ा आराम कर लेते फिर पढ़ाई करते. You cannot have that. You can have a short break, but then you have to get back to your studies. You have to stay very dedicated to your studies. So I think you can definitely select both, but just put in a lot of efforts for that.
Okay, sir. So I have one more question. Like, I want to make a career in finance and like become a CFO or something. So in my articleship period, which field should I prefer?
So finance. So again, finance would be a very vague word. There are a lot of roles into finance, and there are a lot of ways to get into the role of a CFA. So first, I think you should decide what type of industry you want to pursue. So do you want to be a CFO of some company in the finance industry, or you want to be a CFO into something, a very generalized consumer facing industry? It could be FMCG, it could be It could be automotive, it could be capital goods industry. So I think first you should understand what industry you would want to go for. Now, if you want to go into something core finance like investment banking, equity research, all of that, I think valuation would be a very good option for you. But again, you should also ask people who have been in evaluations and how that has helped them into getting into investment banking and equity research roles. So that is one field of finance that you can get into. Coming about going to CFO roles, I think that would be more into group finance and corporate finance. So I think even if you go for auditing, accounting fields, you would definitely be able to leverage your experience over there to move into leadership roles. But over my experience of various job interviews that I have given, you are never going to get a core finance role from the very beginning itself. So if you aim to get into leadership role of a CFO, initially they would be making you work across all departments: production, sales, marketing, finance. So even if you have audit experience, you would definitely be able to get into those leadership programs, and those leadership programs would help you get into the eventually into CFO roles. So in terms of choosing an industry, choosing a particular field, if it is about corporate finance, group finance, definitely accounting and auditing experience would help you. But if you plan to go into core finance, like investment banking, equity research, then going for valuations, or I think there are some firms which also offer financial risk management. I'm not very sure of that, but you can do some research on that as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yes, Bharat, you can also ask a question.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations so much for your achievement. And I had one simple doubt. So I have registered myself for May 23 attempt for foundation. Okay.
Okay.
So as of right now, to be very honest, I'm not sure about much doing of CA in the longer term, right? So, is there anything that I should keep my eye open for in CA itself, or maybe outside the CA boundaries, wherein I get a much more clarity whether I want to continue with CA in the longer run or not? Like, see, as of right now, I am feeling like I should at least give the foundation attempts since I've started studying, right? So,
Yes.
for me, I feel that makes sense. But, like, how much should I continue forward? And how the calling goes, I'm not much sure about that. So could you like enlighten me about that?
So first of all, you would have to think what is actually your interest. Do you want to do something of a professional course at all, or do you want to go something into something that is not something that depends on your hobby, like for example, writing or dancing or singing or acting? So first, you need to decide whether you want to be a part of a professional career or you want to do something different. I think first you need to do that. Whatever you decide, then you have to try and open yourself to various type of routes. For example, if you go into these professional courses, apart from C also there are various other courses. So if you are good into mathematics and statistics and you like something about risk management, you can try for actual science as well. Of course, again, it is also a very difficult course. You would need to do some research on that. You would need to speak to a lot of people, but that could be one option. You could go for MBA. Sorry.
Was saying ki, I have actually gone through all the courses. Like, so I have gone through like how the CS course works, how the actual course works. So, malab, I have even for an MBA, I have looked forward for it. But like, I'm not getting, well, I'm not sure whether how to go about it, because see, even though I have like, it's like almost been 1 or 2 years now, ki I have gone almost to all the courses, like all these mainstream courses wherein MBA, CS, CMA comes in. So I have almost been there where I have like gone all those all those things, but still not getting a surety. Like for example, even if I plan on continuing for CA, maybe like inter dete hain, let's see. So but even in that point of time, I'm not like what should I look forward ki like this will assure me ki like CA ही करना है future में.
Okay, just a question. So if you talk about CA, what comes to your mind after becoming CA, what all can you do? So what all options come to your mind?
So personally, I look forward for something in entrepreneurship or business, like me myself leading it, or otherwise I like in general we have an option for doing practice, and then maybe a job for what I'm looking for, because I'm not looking. See, so my father himself is a CA, so I have seen the work procedure how it goes for him. Like, so like going through everyday mails and all. So I don't want that mail stuff to be there always. Like, see, I want more of a thing wherein I'm there on the ground. It's at the same time there is some mailing part. Like, I'm not, don't want to be like कि हाँ पूरा time mail पे ही काम करना है and all.
I think you should not just do your own research, you should also speak to people who are actually in those fields. For example, for CA, don't just speak to your dad, speak to someone who is of your age, what they are actually doing, what made them choose CA. You should speak to people who are already MBS, people who are already lawyers. Just try it speaking to everyone and at least give the CA foundation level. Once you start studying, you would get a much better understanding. So right now, everyone would be giving their opinion. Once you start studying, once you get into that field, once you interact with people who are also studying with you, you will get a much better understanding. But first thing that you need to figure out is what you actually want to do ahead.
Yeah.
Because doing business entrepreneurship is a very wide field. Doing a practice is also in a way entrepreneurship itself. Practice,
Yeah.
you're having your own business itself. So what you want to do in business? Do you aim to start a startup? If to do a startup, do you want to be into a technology startup, IT startup? If you want to do that, then you have to go for something that also gives you some IT background. Maybe
Yeah.
not directly engineering or something, but you need to have some background around that. So first you need to have clarity on your what you actually want to do in life, what actually interests you, what you actually enjoy doing. And then you finally decide, okay, if this is the interest, this is the thing that I want to do, what is the route to do that? But side by side, at least don't miss out on your exams. Just keep on studying. What if eventually you decide that whatever I want to achieve, the route to do that is through CA itself? And if you have not invested enough time, then you would unnecessarily waste your time. So at least since you've already registered, there is no harm in trying. There is no harm in preparing for the exams. So at least appear for the exams, but side by side, just try to understand what actually interests you.
Correct. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So coming to the most fancy and the most awaited topic, success. Like as we know, the definition of success for everyone is different. Like for some, it's money. Like for some, it's joy and something like. So what was your definition of success?
There would be multiple aspects of my definition of success, but one thing that I made sure that stays with me throughout my CA preparation was consistency. I was very consistent in whatever I was doing, whether it was studying, whether it was sleeping, whether it was eating, whether it was doing time pass, whether it was doing my office work. I was very consistent with whatever I was doing. It was never a situation के आज ये मन हुआ तो ये कर दिया, आज कल वो मन हुआ तो वो कर दिया. I had very set procedure in mind कि this at this point of time I want to do this, at this point of time I want to do this, and keep on following. Consistency is boring, but consistency is success. Just like monotony is also boring, but monotony is success. So being consistent is what helped me throughout my all three levels of CA. I always made sure if I have to study from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., then I am studying, no matter what happens. Even if I am sick, even if I have to go out, I will cancel the plan, but I will sit and study. If I am some work-related work that I cannot postpone or I cannot prepone, then I would find out another hour immediately after that. But I was very consistent. Every day I have to keep on studying. Every day I have to keep on doing this, keep on doing that. So being consistent in my approach, whether it was preparing timetable, whether it was sticking to one study material, whether it was writing practice, I was making sure that I'm consistent with everything. And I think that is one of the very important elements of my success, being consistent.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
lastly, we would like to share your magical keywords to understand the mysterious dimension of perseverance. One must know while setting up the targets.
I think first step to understanding the dimensions of perseverance would be to first understanding yourself. Just like I spoke 5 minutes back, you should first know what you want to do. If you know what you want to do, you know how you have to do it. Once you know how you have to do it, you would definitely be very much inclined to put in your 100%, 200%, 1000% to it. Once you have that focused mindset, once you have that determination, that fire in you कि हाँ मुझे ये achieve करना ही है, no matter what, definitely you will be having that perseverance. Once you have that perseverance, alongside you would be understanding how perseverance is helping you out. So understanding self is the first starting point in understanding the dimensions of perseverance. So that once you start with that, then you start working towards it. As you start working towards it, you understand how perseverance is helping in various ways, whether it is how it is helping in personal life, professional life, academic life, all sorts of life. And that is when you truly understand how perseverance is helping you on an overall basis. So that is how I think the mystical dimensions of perseverance could be understood.
That was so nice to hear.
Okay.
I think we have one last question from Disha. So Disha, you can take up your question.
I have both of them.
Disha, you can ask your question.
Hello, sir. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. So my question was, sometimes there is immense motivation to study and I want to study only. And sometimes I get too much demotivated as I'm a bad student. Everyone goes on telling me that you have taken back along with CA, so it won't be manageable for you to do it. And even I can feel it sometimes during lecture when it becomes difficult to manage. So how to manage this?
So if I heard your question correctly, you have taken BAF and alongside you are doing CA and you're facing some difficulty in managing and people are actually demotivating. So first of all, the grass always looks to be greener on the other side. People who are doing BCom will always tell you that BCom plus CA is the easiest, but it is not the aisa kuch bhi nahi hai. Even doing it with BAF, it's slightly difficult, but it is not impossible. So first of all, you should not be paying attention to what others are telling you. It is very much possible to do your CA alongside BAF as well. In fact, it might give you some additional understanding that might help you in CA. I was personally a BCom student, so I don't have much experience, but I have friends that who had done BAF along with their CA as well, and they have become CAs in their very first attempt. Coming about managing your time, so just like articleship, there will always be some time that you are getting free from your college itself. So you can manage. So for example, if your lectures are from 7 to 10, then 10 to 11 thoda to time hoga. It will be hectic. It will be you will have to put a lot of efforts, but it is very much possible. So just have a timetable set in your mind that okay, these are the number of hours that I have to attend college lectures. These are the number of hours that I have to complete my classes, lectures, and all of that. उसके बीच में क्या free time बच रहा है? Divide that time between giving yourself a minor break and preparing your studying plan. So if you have a timetable set in mind, then you can definitely complete it with BAF itself. And there will always be time that you are getting free. ऐसा तो होगा नहीं कि Monday to Sunday you have college. It won't happen कि public holidays will be college. You'll definitely be getting free time at somewhere in between. Make sure that you utilize those time 100%, and whatever time you're getting on the days of college, you try to utilize it at maximum possible. But trust me, it is not impossible. You can definitely clear in the first attempt itself, and with very good marks also. It is not impossible. Just don't listen to what people are telling you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I guess everybody's doubts are cleared, and
I
with
actually had one more question. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You can reach out to me personally. That's
So
fine.
on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, anything is fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so as Sir mentioned, you can contact them via his LinkedIn. So everybody can go ahead and get connected to him. So with this, we have come to a 1.5 hour long session. And that session not a normal session, a very fruitful, helpful, and insightful session. And to thank for this, we only have Mr. Meet Shah. Thank you so much, sir, for coming in and solving everybody's doubts so personally, clearly, and giving them the best advice they could get right now. Thank you so much for doing that and coming on board with us. Along with Mr. Shah, I would also like to thank our principal in charge, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani. Due to certain emergency, she couldn't join us, but her support and guidance is with us throughout. Thanks to also to our vice principal, Dr. Naveen Punjabi, who's always there with us to help us and motivate us to do better every time. Thanks to Professor Yunus also, who always helps us with the technicalities during these virtual sessions. A very big thank you to our professor in charge, Dr. Geeta Nair, who couldn't join us for the session, but is always there with us. She is always there with us throughout the back end work, making sure that we have the pick ready, questions ready, everything is ready. And the biggest thank you to the audience for joining in, being so interactive. I hope your doubts are all cleared. And thank you to all the research cell members who have been organizing this session. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day ahead. And all the best to all those who will be giving any exams, CA Inter, CA Final, or CA Foundation. If everybody could switch on their cameras also, we could take a quick picture. I hope someone from the OC team is clicking.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for joining in.
Thank you guys. I request the OC members to be present and rest all can leave.